What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today I'm here with the 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. This is their performance midsize sedan, and well, there aren't really a whole lot of performance midsize sedans left, except really the Kia K5 GT, which is mechanically the exact same as this car. But Hyundai has sent me the Sonata N-Line to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible. So let's start off with the ride quality. So impacts, vibrations, quietness. Now Hyundai apparently gave the Sonata N-Line its own tuning for the suspension, but I don't think it really has a very sporty feel to it. To me, this just feels like a very comfortable, typical midsize sedan. It doesn't feel like anything that would be out of the ordinary or really sport oriented. But with that said, I think it's a very smooth and refined ride. This feels very similar to the Hyundai Santa Cruz that I drove last week, and there are a lot of mechanical similarities between this and the Santa Cruz Limited, and I find the road feel to be very similar. It handles potholes, manhole covers, bumps in the road, all that stuff really well, but you can feel a bit of vibration coming in through the tires. So this is riding on 19-inch wheels. It has a 40 series sidewall on the tire, which I guess is like borderline low profile. So it doesn't have quite as much cushion as a smaller wheel size with a thicker sidewall on the tire. So when you're rocking bigger wheels, that tends to happen. You get more vibration coming in through the tire, and usually also more noise. Now I found the ride to be pretty quiet, especially in city driving like this, but even on the highway, with the exception of a little bit of wind noise, the ride is fairly quiet, so that definitely gives the cabin a more premium feeling. Hyundai's been doing a pretty good job at making their products feel more upscale, especially the higher trim levels of their different vehicles. So the Sonata N-Line is near the top. It's not exactly mid-range, but closer to the top. I think it might be the one just underneath the limited trim, but it is the sportiest trim level, and it does have the biggest wheels. Next, let's talk fuel economy numbers. We got 23 in the city, 32 on the highway, and 27 combined. So most of the driving I've done in this car was over the last 2 or 3 days, and during that time I didn't use my own personal vehicle. I just used this one, and it was a good amount of driving, mix between highway and just normal city driving. I filmed a night drive video last night, which I'll have linked on the screen at the end of the video. So drove this a good amount, and I've so far only used about 1/8 of a tank of gas. And with the performance that this can put out, especially with a turbocharged engine, I'm actually finding the fuel economy to be pretty good. And when I'm driving on the highway, I always have it in sport mode, and I do like to push it a bit, when I'm testing these cars out. And paired with the 15.9 gallon fuel tank, the range in terms of mileage when the tank is full is well over 400 miles. I'm only down to 359 now. Let's talk about the powertrain. It's the same motor and transmission setup as the Santa Cruz, like I was mentioning before. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but in the Sonata N-Line, it puts out 290 horsepower, which is more than the Santa Cruz, and the same 311 pound-feet of torque, and that's paired with the same 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. This one also gives you the paddle shifters on the back, just like the Santa Cruz. Those are also the same power figures as what you would find in the Kia K5 GT. So if you were trying to decide between this and that, I think it really all just comes down to the design and, the interior aesthetics. Now, one thing I am a little bummed about is that this does not have all-wheel drive. This is front-wheel drive, and this Sonata N-Line, it's not available as an option. I know I keep bringing up the Santa Cruz, but that did have all-wheel drive paired with this same engine and transmission, and it was an absolute pleasure to drive. And with this being a sedan capable of having more sporty driving dynamics, I think that's a little bit of wasted potential there. I mean, with how good the Santa Cruz being a pickup truck drives, I mean, imagine putting that same system in, a sporty sedan. So that shortfall with the front wheel drive system is prevalent during hard acceleration, especially, from a stop. So when we do the 0 to 60, you'll see there's a good amount of wheel slip. And for the 0 to 60, we're going to keep traction control on. And for the drive mode, I'm going to put it in sport. Let's talk about the drive modes real quick. It's just normal, sport, and my drive, which lets you put in some custom parameters. All right, so up here, we're going to come to a complete stop, and we are going a little bit uphill, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let that fan go up a bit. All right, traction control keeping on, and let's go. So traction control does a decent job at preventing wheel slippage, but of course, with that, you get a significant delay in the delivery of power. Once you finally get going though, the transmission shifts nice and smoothly, and it switches gears somewhere between like 5,800 and 6,200 RPM. So it does let you rev a good amount before switching into next gear. I don't see a need to use paddle shifters because I like to just let it rev. But I mean, they're there if you want to use them. So where this really shines is not so much from a dead stop, but out here on the highway, especially with the pickup that it gives you when you need to speed up or pass somebody. Once you're already up and going, when you put your foot down, you do get that slight tiny bit of turbo lag, but then you can really feel the torque kick in. And the torque kicks in fairly low down in the RPM range. And aside from just the little bit of wind noise that comes in from the windows, the engine isn't overly loud either. So overall, I'm not gonna call the ride quiet, but it's not loud. The ride out here on the highway is definitely quieter than the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Good use of sound deadening materials. I mean, you can't really expect this to be luxury car quiet at its price point, but I'd say for what it is, kind of impressive. Also, in terms of build quality, no annoying rattles or anything like that. Car feels well put together. You could definitely have some fun with it out on the highway. I just wish it was all-wheel drive. Alright, so now we're going to test out the adaptive cruise control system. So for that, I got to make sure lane keep assist is on first. So we hit that. Steering wheel icon pops up there on the gauge cluster, and then I hit this button with the little speedometer to set the speed, and we're gonna increase that a bit. Now there is a turn up here that is like my true test to see how good the system is with slowing down and maintaining the lane, because it's a bit of a sharp, quick turn up here. Some cars take it a little bit too quickly, so let's see how it does. Will it stay in the lane? Yes, it will. Look at that. I expected it to do that because the Santa Cruz I just had last week also handled that really well. In most cars, the radar sensors don't pick up on that curve coming ahead quick enough to let the car know to slow down when taking it. So oftentimes it'll just take the turn way too quickly, and then it'll end up kind of veering out of the lane, which is not a good thing. And then when it veers out of the lane, it'll normally just get completely discombobulated, or maybe just even shut off completely. That has happened too. So now I can kind of just kick back and relax a little bit. See, there's some systems that give you peace of mind and some that kind of stress you out a little bit. This one is definitely on the peace of mind end of the scale. All right, let's see how it does. All right, so it did good with detecting that car coming into the lane. But of all the recent Hyundais and Kias that I've driven, they've all done very well with their cruise control. This 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line has a 12-speaker Bose audio system, so let's take a listen. I find it very interesting how a car maker and an audio company like Bose can work together to create systems, across multiple products, but how they can all sound so incredibly different, and how some can sound great and some can sound terrible. But luckily this one right here is one of the good ones. I had some complaints about the Bose system in the Santa Cruz, but this one sounds a whole lot better, especially in the dynamics of the sound. Okay, the bass has a good amount of punch to it. It doesn't sound flat, and I think all the levels are good between bass, mid, and treble. There's no frequencies that really sound muddy, so I think it's got good clarity and it's got good power behind it. So I can't say I have any complaints with the audio system. I think they did a good job with it. So now we are out here at the back roads to test out the steering and handling of the Hyundai Sonata N-Line. This is definitely my favorite part of every test drive. All right. So I have it in normal. So this is just the standard steering. So in terms of weight, it's kind of right in the middle between light and heavy, maybe just ever so slightly more towards the light side. I prefer it to be a little bit heavier, but I don't think it feels bad at all. I think it has more than enough weight to, keep you in control. If you have steering that's too loose, I think, sometimes it feels like it's a little bit harder to control that way. And even with this being front-wheel drive, it is a sedan, so it still handles corners pretty well. I do still believe this could benefit from an all-wheel drive system. I think that's my one issue with this car. I think if it had the all-wheel drive system, the overall package would be a really solid contender in the mid-size sedan category. And again, with this being the performance variant of the Hyundai Sonata, it doesn't face a whole lot of competition. Toyota discontinued the Camry TRD There's no more Mazda 6. The Accord discontinued its 2-liter turbo. So if you're looking for a sporty, fun to drive midsize sedan, there's this and the Kia K5 GT, which is basically the same car. The price is also very attractive. This one, the way it's optioned, $37,610. So that's going to wrap up this test drive of the 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. Big thank you to Hyundai for sending me this so that I can really get familiar with it and give the most thorough review possible. Let me know your thoughts on the Sonata N-Line down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Let me know down in the comments what other vehicles you want to see on the channel next. And be sure to follow @OpticalAutomotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.